Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this, the first ordinary meeting of 2025. I'll commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet, the Butchla people, and pay my respects to our elders past, present, and emerging. For our opening prayer, let us pray together. Each of us, according to our individual beliefs, grant to this council wisdom, understanding, and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of the community. Here, so there's no apologies or relief of absence. However, the CEO and I have a meeting with the Sports Minister, Tim Mander, imminently, so we will need to duck out for a short period when the Deputy Mayor will chair the meeting. Disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosure of interest? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, colleagues, I have a declarable conflict of interest for item 11.5.2, which is the concession policy or fee concession policy. The nature of my interest is I'm on the board of Reach Church Fraser Coast, and our church may benefit from this concession policy, being a religious organisation. So I'll deal with that conflict by leaving the room for that item. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other disclosures of interest? The next item is mayoral minutes. There are no mayoral minutes. Item 5.1, the confirmation of the December meeting minutes, pages 4 to 32. Is there a mover for this? Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Farage. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion, all in favour? That's carried unanimously. Item 6.1, pages 33 to 50, the open resolution register. Are there any questions on this one? Is there a mover that we receive and note? Councillor Govers, seconded Councillor Paul Truscott. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 7.1, community presentations.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'm happy to provide a verbal report of community presentations. There were two speakers today. The first speaker was Ms. Michelle Kerr, representing the Tinnabar Community Association. She spoke on access and safety issues associated with Tinnabar Road and requested the sealing of approximately 3.7 kilometres of Tinnabar Road as a matter of priority. The second speaker was Mr. John Bennett, who raised concerns associated with the small number of older light aircraft operating from the Hervey Bay Airport and requested council to take action to reduce the noise nuisance. That's my verbal report, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a mover that we noted? Councillor Cosgrove, second Councillor Truscott. Any speakers or questions? No. I'll put the motion, all in favour? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 9.1, receipt of petitions. Councillor Sanderson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So I have a petition here from Mrs. Michelle Kerr. The number of signatures is 439. The subject of the petition, as Ken has just raised, is request for council to complete the final stages of Tinnabar Road. So I would like that the petition be received and referred to a committee or the CEO for consideration and a report to council, please. Yeah.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Farage. Can I just ask, is it a written petition with a physical form or is it an internet one?
No, it's a physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.1, informal meetings record. There are no further petitions. No. Item 10.1, informal meetings, record of matters discussed, pages 51 to 64. Is there a mover? Councillor Phil Truscott. Second, Councillor Wheeland. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.2, the Fraser Coast Regional Council Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes for November, pages 65 to 70. Is there a mover that we receive and note them? Councillor Byrne. Second, Councillor Wheeland. Put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.3, the Mary to Bay Rail Trail Advisory Committee meeting minutes for October, pages 71 to 77. Is there a mover that we receive a note? Councillor Cosgrove, second Councillor Paul Truscott. Any speakers or questions? I'll put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.4, the Rail Trail meeting minutes for the special meeting of December, pages 78 to 82. Moved Councillor Cosgrove, seconded Councillor Paul Truscott. Any speakers or questions? Put the motion, all in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. Item 10.5, the TAC meeting minutes for November, pages 83 to 89. Councillor Chapman's moving this. Is there a seconder? Councillor O'Keefe?
Question?
Yeah, Councillor O'Keefe's got a question, yeah.
My question's for the Infrastructure Services Director. Is it normal for invites for TAC meetings to go out to councillors? Like, I know that it's an elected position to be on the Speed Management Committee and to be on the TAC committee, but is it okay if other councillors attend the TAC meetings?
Thanks for the question, Councillor, through the Mayor. So generally the invite goes to the key members and the chair and the proxy. So other members of the councillors can attend. There's no issues at all. They won't have a voting right. They can be a participant to the meeting. Yeah.
If I could just add to that, generally speaking, councillors are welcome to attend other meetings of advisory committees of council, but they're there as observers. So in addition not to being able to vote, they can't speak unless invited to by the chairperson is the general rule.
And this would be kind of different to, this isn't like an internal committee. This is one that is statutorily based with the police and main roads, yeah. So was there a seconder for the motion? Councillor O'Keefe, yep. Any further speakers or questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, Councillor Chapman.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank what's been involved within the Traffic Advisory Committee. But with councils, we've got our next meeting on the 4th of February, which is next week. And if any councils have got an issue or anything like that, bring it forward to send it to the Director of Infrastructure or myself, and we can put it up as to be on the agenda. But just a couple of things, if anyone is getting hooning problems or anything like that, one of the things it's easy, we heard today about the planes, but it's hard to identify a plane. But if we can get a rego number plate, the police are there and that's one of the things they ask for. So if you are getting issues with hooning in your area, please try and get a rego, ask whoever's putting the complaint in to get a rego so we can forward that on and then see what we can have. Because hooning is costing us a lot of money within our region, and it's something that the police aren't happy with. They do want to crack down on. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The motion's moved by Councillor Chapman, seconded Councillor O'Keefe. Any further speakers or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any opposed? That's carried unanimously. CEO and I will depart for a period. I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor.
Cheers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, our next item, there are no officers' reports from the Office of the CEO. The next is item 11.2.1, 2024-25 Operational Plan Progress Report, October to December 2024. Is there any questions on this item? Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Phil Truscott. Is there a seconder? Councillor Wheeler? Sure, sorry. No other questions on this item? I'll put the item. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Next is 11.2.2, the councillor meeting attendance for February 2025. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Chapman. Is there a seconder? Councillor Farage. Is there any questions on this item? Or any speakers on this item? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? And against? So that's carried 9-1. Next item is 11.3.1, the amended policy, amenity and aesthetics considerations for the relocation of dwellings policy. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Phil Truscott. Is there a seconder?
A question.
Okay, were you seconding, Councillor Burton? Okay, I'll put you as a seconder, and then Councillor Govers, you have a question?
Yeah, through the chair. If this motion is resolved by council today, will it apply to existing bonds held by council or for future applications?
Yeah. To the Deputy CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Acting Chair, and thank you, Councillor, for the question. Technically, it won't apply to the application because the application was lodged under the rules which apply at the time. We will not be collecting any future bonds, and we're currently going through the process of contacting owners and refunding the bonds that we do hold. Some of those are significantly aged, and there's a bit of a process around that. Some inspections to make sure that work can be done. You may find it surprising that sometimes people do the work and never come back to us and ask for the money. And they're large sums of money sometimes too, which I find surprising, but we are going through that process of closing out all of the old bonds and refunding those amounts where we can find people, and where we can't. I think my colleague, Director Parsons, advised last week that money will be handed over to the public trustee if we can't find anybody who may have passed away or not have next of kin that we can transact with.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or do you wish to speak to the item? Or Councillor Truscott, Councillor Cosgrove.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Just like to echo Councillor Phil Truscott's sentiments and say I think the removal of essentially red tape is a good thing. So yeah, bravo.
Any other questions or speakers?
Yeah, I've got a question to the acting CEO. Without having a bond there, what control has council got now to say if someone moves a house into an area to bring it up to aesthetics?
Yeah, essentially, thank you through you, Mr. Acting Chair, and thank you, Councillor Chapman. Essentially, all of our other enforcement tools. So people still need to have a development application to re-site the house. We put a whole range of conditions on that. We can enforce those either directly ourselves through compliance action, fines and the like, or we can take people to court and get court judgments as well to force determinations for them to complete work. So we have a range of enforcement mechanisms. The reality is we take a light touch enforcement approach, and our first approach is always to work with people, encourage, even to the point of we'll help them find contractors and the like, because we have a deep understanding of the market if somebody can't find their own contractors. So we can take enforcement actions, but ideally we avoid that wherever we can.
Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, acting Deputy Mayor, or Deputy Mayor, I'd like to speak for this motion. I was a building designer, and I did come across a lot of people that when they were actually borrowing the money to build a house, they'd have to borrow a $40,000 bond on top of what they had to borrow. So what would actually happen is as they were going through and doing their house, if they needed any extra money, they needed to finish the house before they could get their bond back. But by having this $40,000 bond, it was equity that was against their loan. So I really feel that by having this money in people's pockets and helping people, it will help people get back into the market of trying to own their own home. So I fully support it, and I hope the other councillors think so also.
Are there any other questions or speakers? So this item was moved by Councillor Phil Truscott, seconded by Councillor Michelle Byrne. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is carried unanimous. Next is item 11.3.2, recommendation funding potential opportunity further development Merida Bay Rail Trail. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Cosgrove. I'm happy to second it. Do you wish to speak to the item, or?
I will briefly,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Councillor Cosgrove.
Just to reiterate that funding for the Merida Bay Rail Trail I think is very important, and I think it would be a huge win for our community. Once we...
Are there any other speakers or questions on this item? No? All right, so this is 11.3.2, moved by Councillor Cosgrove, seconded by myself. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimous. Next is 11.3.3, the request to fill councillor vacancy, Mary to Bay Rail Trail Advisory Committee. Councillor Cosgrove.
Yeah, I'll be moving an alternate motion to the officer's recommendation, Mr Chair, which potentially may go up on screen, but councillors have received that, and there's been a few tweaks since then, but it's up on the screen there.
I think everyone understands this one. It's been on the sheet that was around. Councillor Cosgrove, you're moving this one. Councillor Farage seconding it. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Chair. So just to say that you'll see there that I am resigning from the advisory committee, not because I don't believe in the project. As I said, I think it's vitally important and will have huge benefits for our region if we can get that link complete, but simply because I don't feel like I'm making a difference there, and there's other areas where I think I can make a bigger difference, such as funding for councils more generally in the space of infrastructure fees and federal assistance grants. I'm really passionate about getting a better deal, not just for our council, but all councils in Queensland. So I'm focusing my attention there, as well as being on the Advancements Advisory Committee and the Board of FCTE as well, and the Housing Diversity Working Group. So I've got plenty on my plate, and I feel like I need to just concentrate on where I think I can really make a difference. And I just wanted to commend Tracy Jenrich, who is essentially on the committee as well, from council staff. She's doing a great job. Craig England is on that committee as well from DTMR, I believe, who oversees rail trails for the Queensland Government. There's great work being done. As I said, I think the biggest difference I can make is in budget discussions with councillors and trying to get funding allocations for the project, and also advocating to other levels of government to get funding for the project. So I'd like to thank Councillor O'Keefe for stepping up as well. He has been on the committee previously, and I know that he'll do a great job chairing what can be at times a lively committee with plenty of differing views, but I think everyone agrees that getting that link through from Maryborough to Hervey Bay with a rail trail will have huge tourism benefits, which is economic benefits for the region. I really support the project, and I commend yourself, Mr Chair, and Councillor O'Keefe for being on the committee.
Thank you, Councillor Cosgrove. Any other speakers? Councillor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I just want to thank my colleague for his efforts over the past year, and also recognise that in the past 2 years we have attributed a record amount of spending on the Mary to Bay Rail Trail project, and I just want to say that I'm hoping to see that continues, and happy to be on the committee and happy to chair.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Questions? I'll just add, yes, thank you, Councillor Cosgrove, and to the Mayor as well for your time on the committee, and to Councillor O'Keefe, looking forward to having you there as Chair as well. Thank you. I'll put that to the vote.
Is this, I'd just like to speak on the work that the Maryborough Rail Trail have actually been doing.
You're on the wrong item.
Yeah, no, this is what further information.
That's the different item.
Yeah, I know, I realise.
Okay.
I'd just like to speak on the Maryborough Rail Trail, the work that's actually been involved in this. I've been following them on their Facebook, and the work that their volunteers are actually doing with machinery and crossings and different things. It's I do take my hat off to them for what they're trying to achieve. Thank you.
All right, no other speakers? Questions? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. Okay, next item is 11.4.1, is the proposal to permanently close unnamed 673, sorry, it should be proposal, not close. Unnamed 673 road. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Phil Truscott, seconder. Councillor Dennis Chapman. Any speakers on this item? Questions? No? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. Next is 11.5.1, amended policy, Waste Management Council policy. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor O'Keefe, and I think second was Councillor Farage. Is there any speakers, questions on this item? No, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimous. Next is 11.5.2. Councillor Sanderson, are you leaving the room? Councillor Fraser moving the item?
Yeah, and I have a question.
Is there a seconder, just while I'm checking on that? Councillor O'Keefe. Councillor Fraser, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. To the Director, how can residents find out if they're eligible for these concessions?
Thank you, Councillor, for the question. Just through you, Mr Deputy Mayor. The waste fee concession policy provides a framework for the fee concessions that we make available or council make available at the waste facilities. And so that policy and the eligibility criteria is all available on council's website. So it's council policy, the information is accessible there. And we've also got some references in our fees and charges schedule as well to draw people's attention to the fact that there are concessions available here. Probably more broadly speaking, our website's got a lot of information around concessions that are available just through fees and charges for recyclable and recoverable items. Our strategy is to really divert waste from landfill, and so there's lots of information also on our website about how people can actually save and reduce costs simply by sorting loads and really trying to drag out those recyclable items from their waste streams.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Councillor.
I just,
question?
yeah, this is, I'd like to actually speak for this motion.
I'll just wait, I'll just check. I'll give the mover the opportunity first if you wish to speak to
I did. Just to thank the Director and the Department for this policy. I think it's really fantastic for our community to try and divert as much waste from landfill as possible, and I think the concessions that we provide as a council to our community are really important, and I urge everyone to jump onto the council website and see if they're eligible. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I'd like to support this motion, but I'd just like to get it out to the public too, that for non-for-profit organisations, there's a mulch fee concession that the applicant can apply to council in writing to require, with supporting information of the name of the organisation, the contact details, the purpose of the request and the quantity required for mulch. So if we've got organisations out there that want to beautify their areas, their gardens and different things, write to the council, ask to see if you've got eligible for the request, and this can be picked up in Maryborough or Nikenbah landfills. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Any other speakers or questions on this item? No? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thanks, Director. So there's no matters, motions of which due notice has been given. No questions on notice. Then we've got general business. Oh yes, Councillor Sanderson, you're right. I think Mark's gone looking for you. Oh, there he is. Councillor Sanderson's returned. Is there any general business? No. Late items. Item 16.1.1, the organisational performance report, December 24. Anyone have any, is there a mover on this item? Councillor Byrne and second, Councillor Gobers. Any questions on this item or any speakers on this item? No? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. Next is 16.1.2, Bothell Storm Damage Recovery Assistance. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Phil Truscott. And a seconder? Councillor Cosgrove. Do you wish to speak to this item? Or
just fully support it. They've had people that don't know had a very incredible damage out there, and not so much Bothell, but Bothell Forest, which is called Forest View. And I reckon we did a fantastic job responding to 50 staff members almost immediately. So thank the Director for that, and that's good. So fully supported.
absolutely. Thank you very much to the Director and staff there. Any other speakers or questions? No, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. Then we've got confidential items. Yeah, I'll believe. So we went, just before we actually have to close to go into confidential, in case we don't need to, is there any questions that anyone wants to ask on any of the items? Or anything at all? All you have to do is say the word and we can close to go in it. Otherwise, if we don't need to, that'll save some time. No one's got any questions on items that are listed there? 15.1, which is the land acquisition Walker Street, Uralla Street to Palace Street Road reconstruction. 15.2, land acquisition Palace Street, Woodstock Street to Saltwater Creek Road footpath. 15.3, land acquisition Ariadne Street, Churchill Street to Victory Street footpath. 15.4, exemption under section 235B, local government regulation 2012 for the provision of meter reading software. And 16.2.1, exemption under section 235B, local government regulation 2012 for the provision of knowledge management software. Does anyone have any questions at all on those items? No, so we don't need to go into confidential then. I think we're fine to do that. Yep. We can just keep going. Okay, so item 15.1, land acquisition Walker Street, Uralla Street to Palace Street Road reconstruction. I'm happy to move that one. Is there a seconder? Councillor Cosgrove. We've had all the questions, so I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Next is 15.2, land acquisition, Palace Street, Woodstock Street to Saltwater Creek Road. Councillor Cosgrove and Councillor O'Keefe. All right, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. 15.3, land acquisition, Ariadne Street, Churchill Street to Victory Street footpath. A move for that one, Councillor Sanderson. And a seconder, Councillor Gomez.
Mr Mayor, could I just speak on this?
Yes.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to speak on this, plus the other a couple of motions that we've had up here. It's great to see these new footpaths going into the region. Council just cannot put footpaths everywhere, but it's great to see that we're putting footpaths in needed areas where there's walk and cycle pathways that are required. And I'd just like to thank the council for bringing these to us. Thank you.
So this is item 15.3, the land acquisition Ariadne Street, moved by Councillor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Gomez. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Next is 15.4, exemption under section 235B of the local government regulation 2012 for the provision of meter reading software. Is there a move for this item? Councillor Cosgrove, and seconded by Councillor Farage. Speakers or anything? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimous. And 16.2.1, exemption under section 235B, local government regulation 2012 for the provision of knowledge management software. Is there a mover for this item? Councillor Byrne, is there a seconder? Councillor Cosgrove? Speak or anything? Good. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And that is unanimous also. There being no further business to discuss, I close the meeting at 10:29 a.m. Well done. So then we'll just wait for the live streaming to finish.